Hey, so the 27th and 28th, something interesting is going to happen in the Netherlands. The Dutch Nationals 2025. And I have got all the dirt for you guys. All the interesting little meta-analysis that you know and love. I am also going to later on go and do a bunch of videos about many of the interesting lists. A lot of interesting players are going. Very not happy that I am not going, but you know, real life gets in the way of hobbying all the time. So this is the meta of the Dutch Nationals, and look at those prizes. I have one on my shelf. Really cool. It's only silver though, so it's the wrong color. But yeah, they looked so freaking awesome. And I know that there's a special prize for the best placed Dutch player if he is not the actual winner of the tournament. Though he may be. The event itself is 700 points with a 12 order dice cap, 3 games at 700 points in escalation style. With a 3 platoon cap as well, so very sensible, very Commander's Compendium-ish. 1250 points with a 20 order dice cap and 4 platoons cap as well. You can use units from the rulebook, which, you know, not a lot of people did, but I was like, ooh, I can bring my Gurkhas again. You can use armies of, and you can use the PDFs. There are 6 games, 3 at 700, 3 at 1250, and the missions are very interesting. Some of them are rulebook missions, some of them have been taken from the Commander's Compendium, and they've all been tweaked in very interesting ways that does make a difference for what you want to do with your army list. 30 players are going, and I guess this is the biggest the Dutch Nationals has been. So the Dutch Nationals have been growing. This year it has attracted a lot of German players, some Brits as well. Sadly no Danes. I blame myself for that, but it is what it is. So it's becoming more and more of one of the central and most important tournaments for Northern Europe. The nations we're seeing. So there are 7 British lists, all of them guard heavy. Warlord Games, take notice again. I mean, your army book lends itself a little bit to a mono build, as it is right now. We'll see what happens later on though. There are 6 German lists, 4 Japanese lists, which is a lot more than I had expected. So we're going to have to look at the Japanese lists at some point, aren't we? There are 4 Soviet lists, 3 American lists, so some people are just sticking to their guns, which is awesome. But the American army book is clearly subpar in regards to the German army book and the British one. 2 Italian lists and 1 each of the Dutch, the Partisans and the Finns. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. The Finns are out. If we look at 700 points, the order dice range is almost a normal distribution. We get a spike around the 8-9 dice, so most people are taking either 8 or 12 dice. The range is between 7 and 12, and it's 9.6 on average, which I'm thinking more or less now is the Goldilocks zone for 700 points. We're seeing quite a few tournaments experiment with this because it's a good point value to go and have a couple of quick games, so you can get more games in instead of just, you know, taking 1 or 2 games over a day. If we look at 1250, then the range is 12 to 20. Not a lot of people actually hit that 20 mark though. Only 1 person takes 20. Which was a little bit of a surprise to me, because, I mean, 20, you can easily do that if you're MSUing multiple small units. Most people take 18, so that's more or less the norm, which I guess is more in the Goldilocks zone for me as well, so not a huge surprise either. 15.1 on average, which is a little lower than I had expected, but still there is a lot of people experimenting with Death Stars, and that of course means that the order dice count will be a little lower than we maybe have expected. So what is the meta? Well, I'm seeing still a lot of people experiment with Death Stars. Almost a third of people are taking heavier units, expensive units, but quite a few of them are infantry units. Maybe especially those Japanese, like huge units of veterans. So that may be a thing, and we shall see how that plays out. But of course, there is the obvious choices of medium to heavy tanks, which some people still take. They are so expensive, so the rest of the list does become very vulnerable. There are some gun lines. I don't know if this is an expectation of how much terrain is on the tables or what will happen, but there are some lists that do gun lining, maybe especially in the 700 points bracket. It's really difficult to crack a gun line if you don't have armor, so maybe that's why. And there is some camping infantry, especially among the Brits, the guards with LMGs, units that obviously want to sit back in your deployment zone and shoot out. There's also quite a few engineer units, but in like if it's there's only a few players actually taking engineer platoons, but if you take an engineer platoon, you max out on the amount of flamethrowers that you can take, right? Especially for Germans with the Eintos Flammenwerfers. That's a thing that many people are interested in doing. More recce platoons than I had expected. Quite a few people bring that, mostly in order to have recce on some transport vehicles of different types. There is very few forward artillery observers, air observers, but there is some, and there's very, very few company commanders, which is a little bit of a surprise to me, because that +4 is really, really good. It is also a massive snap too, but if you're not building an army list to sort of facilitate that, yeah, I can see that it may not be necessary. And there are some snipers still being taken. If we look at army builds, then I'm seeing quite a few inexperienced hordes, which was not expected for me at all. People are trying to see if they can bring that back. Some very good players as well are doing that, which is going to be interesting to see if hoarding is a thing that can be brought back into the game. It's sort of been out since V3 came out. But at least one of the players is doing a horde, not an experienced horde though, but a very interesting horde. And I'll get back to that at a later point in a later video. Regulars, camping regulars everywhere. Mechanized is less common than I had expected. I don't think the mechanized meta has sort of hit the Dutch yet, but we shall see if that changes over time, or maybe they're just moving away from it. Motorized still happens, which I don't understand why you would, but some people are still doing that. MSU is surprisingly common. There is a lot of small units, but quite often with Death Stars, so basically the players are forced to do that if they want to have enough order dice. Light tanks, if you almost all players, like I don't think there's a single player that doesn't take an armored platoon. And if you do take an armored platoon, there's 3 ways you can do it. That is what we're seeing right now. You can take light tanks, early war tanks, 7+, 8+ tanks, quite often with autocannons, because autocannons are awesome this edition. Or you can take Death Stars, 9+, 10+ tanks with a heavier gun of some sort. Or, and this is quite interesting, quite a lot of players are going anti-meta and using tank destroyers. The RSO, Pack 40, the Hellcats, all of that is coming back, and we shall see how much of a splash that is going to make, whether or not these players can actually win using these anti-tank tanks. My predictions are that we will see the winner among these 6 people, maybe especially among 3 of them, but, Tobias is bringing a 12 to 18 order dice USA, multiple small units, and a lot of good armor. Really good list there, Tobias. Timoteo, I mean, he's just a really good player. He's bringing 12 order dice to 17 order dice Brits with spamming armor. So he's doubling up on armored platoons, which is amazing. Like, his infantry is rather weak, but his armored section is very dangerous, and Timoteo knows his stuff. I think he can do really well. Manuel is also back to his usual shenanigans. He is bringing 12 to 20 order dice Germany, and he is doing a very interesting horde build, a regular horde of regular shirkers with a company commander. Very interesting. On top of that, he adds some armor and an engineer platoon, so he has barbecue. Very, very cool, because you can't really move up to his horde and start killing it at point blank, because then you'll get the barbecue in the face. Interesting to see what Manuel can do with that. It's one of those tricks that I've seen him be really good with. It's his comfort zone. So I think, again, Timoteo, Manuel, and possibly Danny is my... If I had to put money on someone winning this tournament, those three would be my top choices. But also we have Dominic, 11 order dice to 18 order dice, Germany again a horde, and again armor. Also a really nice list. Danny, whom you can never discount for top placements. You never should. He's a really good player, and he's in his comfort zone. He's playing 7 to 14 order dice USA, mixed bag, with a good mix of armor as well. He's bringing a Hellcat, which he's very comfortable with. He ran it already in version 2 before it was good. Now it's even better, right? So he is very, very comfortable with the army that he's building, and he is a little low on order dice compared to some of these others, but not massively so. I think Danny can pull something good off with that list. And then Chris, 18 to 15 order dice, Dutch. He has a horde. It's a really good mix. And I think especially maybe his 700 points is an interesting mix. So I think Chris is my sort of wild card for this. I think he potentially also could do really well, but if I had to put money down, as I said, it would be on Timoteo, Manuel, or Danny to win the tournament. So thank you so much to Pim, seen here in the background, to some random dude with a trophy, who has been working very hard, to Danny as well, who's been working very hard and still is building terrain for the tournament. He just sent me a picture of the terrain he's building today. It's looking really good, guys. So thank you so much for keeping me informed. Links to the lists and the pack will be in the doobly-doo down in the description. Go check them out, and I can't wait to get results. Right, see you next time. Cheers.